Y'all, this is McDiddy, and welcome to my book review channel. As today we are going to review the new book, Blood Mountain by James Preller. It's a really good book, and I'm really excited to share this with y'all, so stay tuned.
Everyone around know who you are. Never gonna keep me in the dark. Try to pull strings like guitars. This who you are now. I put the roses near my bed right inside the crib. Thought it was something, but the way it look, it all connect. You try to tell all of my friends, baby, don't bother them. Showing all them, you the one that's broken. I put the roses near my bed right inside the crib. Thought it was something, but the way it look, it all connect. You try to tell all of my friends, baby, don't bother them. You showing all them, you the one that's broken. Don't act like you've been trying to love, girl, do not pretend. But all of it wasn't for nothing, now I'm competent. Left the roses by my bed right inside the crib, but now they're broken, right there in the open. Yeah, I heard the voicemail, crying on, I ain't checking like a hotel. Okay, that's my fault, go ahead and slap wrists. Only been an hour, now you style like a patch kid. Careful with the words I say, since now I'm going up. Only studying the game, that's why I'm going nuts. Never careful what they say about me. Ain't no snakes around me, trust you far as I see, yeah.
At first, Carter and his sister Grace thought the hike with their dad and their dog would be uneventful. But during the hike on Blood Mountain, all heck breaks loose. As the siblings become separated from their father, they are lost, braving the wild elements, fighting to survive, and they are also being tracked. But who will find them first? The young ranger leading the search, or the erratic mountain man living off the grid? When Grace injures herself in a fall, Carter decides to set out alone to find help, leaving them both more vulnerable. This story is told in alternating points of view. This tightly paced survival story will have... Pretty sure y'all are wondering, what did I rate this book? Well, I gave Blood Mountain a 10 out of 10 because it is exciting, heart-pounding, gut-wrenching, terrifying, hopeful, fear-inspiring tale all mixed together in a hardcover award-winning novel. The book was easy to read and enjoyable with no pages that you would get stuck on for 10 minutes trying to understand what the heck the author is trying to explain when they used words that were last used in 1776. What I also really appreciated was how entertaining the topic was. It was never boring, and it had plenty of exciting parts, and it was never off topic at any point of the story. I've had it where a book will sound promising, and at first there's plenty of entertaining parts, but when I get a little further into the book, I start to lose interest really quickly, because the topic goes to the top... Hold on a sec. Because the topic starts to go off topic and ends up being something I'm not interested in. Like, for example, it's like you're reading about a book about NFL teams and their team history. That later on in the story somehow ends up being about Taylor Swift was at another one of the Chiefs game watching Travis Kelce fumble 8 balls or something. But with Blood Mountain, it follows the same path of events that are the topics, such as courage, faith, hope, bravery, and fear. So there was no sign of the author getting sidetracked at all during any point of the story. Another thing I really liked about the story was there was plenty of high-stake type scenarios where the protagonists, aka Grace and Carter, faced a near-death scenario which required them to work together as a team in order to survive. Like when Grace takes a terrible fall and Carter ends up having to risk his life to try and save her. There was also a significant character development evident throughout the story. As I learned the disadvantage and advantages the protagonist had, like when Carter really struggled with trying to find his way through the mountains and to the campgrounds of Long Lake, where he would alert the ranger station about his sister, and how dire it was that Grace got medical attention. Grace struggled deeply with trusting her younger brother, especially since he was only 11 years old and had never been on a hike in the Blood Mountain region. Michaela, who was in charge of finding them, had a hard time staying hopeful and finding Grace and Carter. It was only when Sitka, the dog, managed to find her and finally John had to learn how to deal with a child like Carter, who was always loud and obnoxious. This and did stupid things a kid would do. At first, these obstacles seemed hopeless to overcome, but with focus and determination, each of the characters found their way to combat against these trials and succeed. The final trait I saw in this story was witnessing the emotional impact that took place for each character, where each protagonist fought against their antagonist and won. The best example, and the one I'm going to be using in this review, was when Carter had to live with John. At first, they never seemed to cooperate, as John primarily wouldn't let Carter leave in fear of him getting lost or hurt, which didn't sit right with Carter, as he wanted John to go back with him and help his sister. But over time, they began to get used to each other and appreciated each other's company. That was until John had another one of his outbursts due to his PTSD that he suffered after his time serving the United States military as a Marine. He often had outbursts of anger over random things, but there was this one that was way worse, and Carter decided enough was enough. He had to get out of there. And he knew he had to find his sister and get help. But he doesn't know the danger that is stalking him until John saves him by killing the threat, a large mountain lion. And they then soon realize that they can't stay mad at each other, and they need each other in order to survive. Even though they have different traits and personalities, doesn't mean they need to abandon the other person. What they did was talk to each other and work out their differences and apologize to one another. Opinion on the book? I mean, there's just only one answer. It is goated. I mean, the aura in this book makes it an absolute banger to read. I mean, there is nothing better. Better in my opinion. It's just a very good and exciting book. It's such a banger. That's all I gotta say. Now, in every story, there's always something that people are wondering that the author could do better. And of course, like almost every other story, I added a column about this too. And here's what I think he could have done better. I'd say add more hunting and fishing scenes, because there would be a lot more excitement if there were moments like, for example, Carter had to shoot an elk with a rifle that he found in an abandoned ranger station, or Grace, who found a pack fishing rod in her backpack, had to hobble her way over to a stream to catch enough fish to survive. I think if there's more scenes like that, then the story would be a lot more interesting. Next, I think put a little more detail into each scene, because there were some parts that I really never knew what was happening. So I think if he added some more detail, then the story would be really good. Finally, I think there should be a part where Carter enters a full transition from being a kid who has never been hiking before into a like some kind of obsessed ultimate outdoor survival guide or something like that. I just think that would really make the story exciting, because every single story I read about that has always piqued my interest. So yeah, why not have it in this one? The author didn't do well. I decided I'm going to take this moment and appreciate what I thought the author did a really good job on. Number one was describing the main characters and how they went through a challenge or obstacle. Like, for example, there was a main part where Grace slides down half the slope of a mountain and almost dies. So Carter does his best work and provides her medical aid so she can survive. Second was describing the way a character went through a change or an obstacle. Like when Carter adapted to living with John, even though they fought like two odd roommates that can never get along. I mean, they also had a hunting scene where John, you know what? Nah, never mind. I already spoiled it already. I'll just tell y'all. John shot a cougar that was trying to kill Carter, and I thought that was really cool. So having exciting scenes like that really put some excitement into the story. Finally, I think the author did a really good job on the ending of the story and describing what happened, how Grace and Carter transitioned into normal life. Because I believe that is very important to describe that too, because a lot of people want to know what happens after the character somehow survives and adapts to normal life. In this case, Grace and Carter were just adapting to the fall weather in Georgia and adjusting to a new school year, which I thought was pretty satisfying for an ending. We're going to wrap it all up, and I'm just going to give you all a little recap of what I thought about Blood Mountain. Honestly, this book actually ended up being one of the best books I ever read. It was really interesting and had exciting scenes, and I really loved how the plot was laid out. It showed signs of character development and emotional impact. This created a more dramatic, exciting, and easy to understand plotline. Plus, it contained scenes that had one of my favorite hobbies in it, hunting. And what really grabbed my attention the most was when Grace and Carter, plus their dad and Sitka, were finally taken home. It showed the raw emotion and the feeling of victory that they had finally won, and now they could settle back into a normal, peaceful life. Thanks again for tuning in, and I hope you'll enjoy this book as much as I do. And do me a favor, and tell me how much you like the book in the comment below, and tell me and give me the rating that you'd and give me a rating on it. I'm really curious to know what y'all are gonna say about it. Alright, and until next time, thanks again and no regrets. Chase Grassman, and aka McDiddy. So do me a favor, click that like and subscribe button, and we'll see y'all on the next video.